So welcome guys to the Pelican Talk. My name's Katrine. You've probably seen me at the talks earlier. I know I've definitely seen a few of you at the Penguin Talk. So I am your conservation education guide for today, and I've also got Nikki here as well, who's going to be feeding the pelicans. Now she has a nice big bucket there full of fish. That's what these guys like to eat, and they could eat up to sort of 2 kilos of fish per day as well. So incredible amounts, but they do have some roach today, and that's quite a big fish. So you will see that. In fact, we've got Elsie, one of our pelicans, nipping around the back of Nikki at the moment, seeing if she can look into the bucket. And then we have Digger, who's the one running away at the moment, just over there. She's another one of our females, along with Elsie. And we've got Anfield and Trevor, the bigger ones there, that are closest to you guys now. Now, they are all great white pelicans, so you can of course see how they got their name. They are very large and they are white, but they do have some lovely black feathers as well. If you see them with their wings outstretched, you'll be able to see those lovely black primary feathers that they do have. And pelicans also have incredible wingspans as well, so when they do sit there and stretch out their wings, have a look at how big that is. Now, these guys have pouches on their face. You might have noticed they have a bit of flexible skin on the bottom of their beak there, and that really helps them to catch their food. Now, their food changes depending on where they're found in the world, so they could be found out in Europe, perhaps in Asia though as well, and also in Africa, and they're found in very large colonies of about 10,000 birds sometimes. So again, absolutely incredible numbers, and they love doing everything together. They stay as a group. You can tell they've got the big fish now out, can't they? They're all definitely racing over to Nikki for a fish. Now, these guys do everything as a group, and they also hunt as a group as well. So about 10 or so birds will form a horseshoe shape in the water, and they actually hunt in this little group, so they hunt cooperatively. And what they'll do is they'll stick their faces in the water, they'll expand that pouch, that lovely flexible skin, and they will then herd the fish into shallower waters. Now, what they'll do from there is actually use their pouch as a scoop, as kind of like a fishing net. And they'll be scooping up, of course, all of the water, all of that fish as well. And they take about 13 litres in their pouch of water. And if you have a look at the bucket that Nikki's holding, that is a 15-litre bucket. So almost a whole one of those guys can go in their pouch. Now, they do eat fish, as I've mentioned, but as you can imagine, when you're taking a big scoop full of whatever may be in the lakes, marshes and swamps where these guys are found, they might have some amphibians as well in there, they might have some invertebrates, but also they're quite opportunistic, so they will take some other animals where they can, perhaps some eggs and chicks of other birds such as the Cape cormorant, and maybe some mice or little amphibians that hang around on the riverbanks. You might also see them as well poking around in those reeds for any insects they find, so they are very opportunistic. Now, once they do have a pouch full of whatever they have found, they will squeeze the water out of their pouch. Now, they do that using their tongue. That's how they control that pouch. And then from there, you might see them even now when they're taking a fish, wiggling their head around a bit, bouncing that fish around in their mouth, because what they're actually trying to do is make sure that fish goes down head first. So it's really important, because the fish's scales run from head to tail. If they were to swallow the fish's tail first, all the scales will get caught in their throat, and it would be very uncomfortable. They wouldn't be able to swallow it very well. So they always make sure they turn that fish around. And you might even see a couple of them when they have the fish in their mouth, as it's a lovely sunny day, you'll be able to see it through their pouch. Now, if you do see through their pouch, as I mentioned, you'll also see it's got lots of veins in it, and it's actually used to cool the birds down, especially on hot days such as this. They might stick their faces into the water, and then they might kind of waggle their pouch around a little bit whilst it has expanded. It just helps to cool them down a little bit. These guys do like to go swimming, as you can see. They have lovely large webbed feet to do so, but they can also fly as well. Now, pelicans again have those really large wingspans, and it helps to lift them up in the air. So pelicans do have the second largest wingspan of any other bird, only rivaled by the wandering albatross. And you can imagine them being quite graceful in the air. However, the takeoff is a bit of a different story. The takeoff is quite clumsy, sort of running and flapping until they can get into the air. Of course, it's a lot of effort, they're quite big birds. But everything about them is built for lightness and buoyancy. So they do have little air sacs underneath their skin, and it acts a little bit like bubble wrap, keeping them nice and buoyant on the water. And they also have hollow bones, but instead of their bones being like a tube and hollow, they're more like honeycomb. They've got small air pockets within them, keeping them nice and light, meaning these birds are only about 3.5 kilos in weight, and that's about as much as your household cat. Now, of course, the lovely large wings will help them to be graceful in the air. They will use the thermals to gain height, lifting them higher and higher with those hot pockets of air. And then from then, they want to save a bit of energy. So what they'll actually do is form kind of a staggered line or a V shape in the air. And if you've seen ducks and geese flying before, it's that same kind of way of flying. They'll be in each other's flight path, saving as much energy as they can. Now they also have a lead bird as well, and that lead bird will help them to know when to flap, when to glide as well, and it just helps save a bit of energy because they too would also swap out amongst the group, and they could be flying about 20 hours a day, so incredible distances. They want to be able to save their energy. Now these guys don't tend to fly. Of course, pelicans in general like to eat in the morning. They like to spend the rest of the day sunbathing, so after this they'll probably go to the other side of their paddock, have their wings on show like I mentioned. You'll be able to see them, but these guys again, they like to do everything together, so they'll all wander off together, and they will only really fly if they haven't got any more food, which is very unlikely. Of course, lakes, marshes and swamps have lots and lots of food. Now, I'm pleased to say that these guys are not endangered at the moment, so they are a least concerned species on the IUCN Red List, and the Red List is the kind of scale that we use to see how endangered an animal is, so how at risk we are of losing them forever. And these guys being least concerned is a very good thing, but they do have threats. They're not completely safe, and this is why we really need to keep an eye on them. They rely on the waterways to survive, and of course if the waterways get polluted, it could cause them a problem. It could kill off their prey, and it could also harm the pelicans too. So of course recycling our rubbish as much as possible will help. It will help stop things like plastic going into the waters, but I'm sure you all recycle, so please continue to do so. And we can also be more responsible with our chemicals as well. Anything that goes down our sinks could also make its way into the waterways. And of course, by being very responsible with our waste, we could not only save species like pelicans, but lots and lots of other species as well that rely on those waterways. Now, I will mention just before you guys go, these grey herons have come down. Now they're those little grey birds, slightly smaller of course than the pelicans, and they've got a lovely black eyebrow stripe. They are completely wild birds, but you will see them around Birdworld throughout the day. And they come and go, but they tend to fly in from Alice Holt Forest. Now some of them do like to live and breed on site, so you will see them up in the trees, but they're a lovely one to watch because they're naturally quite a secretive species, standing near the water's edge, completely still waiting for a fish to swim past. So it's lovely to watch them and their behaviour, and of course do have a look for them around the park as well and see what other wild birds you can spot. Now thank you very much guys for listening to the talk, and there is another one though after this, so our next talk is actually with our goats. Now we do have goats here at Birdworld and they live on Jenny Wren Farm, so if you carry on down this pathway slightly to the left you'll find the entrance to Jenny Wren Farm, and then if you pop down to the end towards the right you'll find our goat pen, and that's actually where you guys will listen to the goat talk and then get to feed a goat for yourself as well. So if you wanted to do that, that's at 12:30. You've got about half an hour or so before then, so I'm going to hang around for any questions that you have. Please pop on over for a chat and I'll answer any questions you've got. But apart from that guys, have a lovely day and thank you very, very much.